everyone. Welcome to Advisor Spotlight. I am Betsy Barr, one of the co-founders of Advisor Verified. And today with us, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Frank Brennis from Southern California. Frank, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. Warm introduction. And I think I owe you some money for that now.
There we go. I'll send you my memo later. Well,
Yeah,
Frank, introduce yourself a little bit and then we'll dig into some questions here.
absolutely. My name is Frank Brennis. Been in the business, when I say business, the lead-based life insurance business now since 2017.
Okay.
And I got my, and I get to talk to you about my start, but realistically, I was out of a job. I needed to look for something. I needed some flexibility because I had a young one, baby on, he wasn't on the way. He was already 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so just needed something to be home. I didn't want to get a job, out of state or out of city. And those are the only options I had.
Wow.
And it's just been a blessing, love it. So since 2017, completely did a 180. I was basically, doing ad tech. And now I find myself having a business in
Okay.
insurance.
Well, I love it. Well, you actually answered the first kind of main question was, what was your background before? What led you into insurance?
Okay,
And so,
sure.
anything else that you would want to kind of add just to share about?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of just warmed it up a little bit in that regard. But, I came to the insurance business being a vice president of ad tech here in Los Angeles, California.
Mhm.
And there's very few, such a niche position that you find yourself, kind of at the top, I guess, of your game per se.
Yeah.
But the downside is the opportunity, although it's great, there's not an ample amount of it. But what do
Mm.
I mean by that? Realistically, like the only places I can do this would be in San Francisco, in Chicago, and in New York. So in the big, big cities, metropolitan cities.
Okay.
And like, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where I was at.
Mm. Wow. So just looking for something more for your family that gave more options. Is that right?
Yeah, and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go, and be kind of a part-time dad. I wanted to be involved in my family, my wife. They're everything to me. I'm a
Mm.
Christian and they're everything to me. So
I love that.
I didn't want to leave. So
Man, I hear that was a huge point for me too. So I get it. I wanted to be with my family. I used to be a teacher and I didn't want to raise everybody else's kids and not be there for my own. So I love that.
yeah, good point.
I
Good
hear that.
point.
So, Frank, tell me, what is one of your most significant moments as a life insurance agent? Is it a death claim or someone that you were able to just really help in a significant way? What would that be for you?
Well, I mean, as a life insurance agent doing the business, I think it becomes the greatest thing when the business goes from your head to your heart. It's
Mm.
one thing you got to make a living and you got to do, I believe in being a professional in what you do,
Okay.
but when the business literally goes from your head to your heart, it's when you know you're in the right place. And that took place when my father passed away. I wrote a policy on my father. Matter of fact, this is why I take the business like ultra serious. Think about it for a second.
Okay.
If your mom or dad, God bless them if they're alive, if they're not, rest their soul. But wouldn't you want someone who knew what they were doing talking to them,
Mm.
especially when it comes to the life insurance, right? Because it's a very serious thing.
Yeah.
And so I had that honor of writing a policy on my dad. My
Okay.
brother wrote one on my mom. And it wasn't until 6 months later that, my father passed away.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's the hardest thing. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Oh, my goodness.
in the midst of all the chaos and the mourning, my mom was okay. She was gonna be okay. We didn't have to scramble for the funeral. We didn't have to scramble for any of that.
Um,
That part meant a lot to me because we were able to mourn. In that time of grievance, we were able to mourn. And I tell my clients and I tell my agents that yes, this business is good and you can go really far and you can make a whole lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's the service you do out there. I call it a ministry almost because you're out there really helping and saving people's financial future. You're saving that.
Wow.
In ministry we save souls. Here we save financial futures, and I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Well, wow, that is a powerful story. Like, like not only a death claim, but for your family, and you get to see how that made a difference for your mom. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I would do anything for my parents, but then to be able to think about my mom being taken care of in a situation like that, like that's so powerful. That is super powerful. Thank you
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sharing.
Um, yeah, absolutely. And if I recall the moment, I remember we went in to talk to the mortuary and the whole setup. It was surreal. And here's the thing that people don't really realize until you're there.
Yeah.
Y- You have so many questions and you're having to battle so many things. And the last thing, sorry about that, the last thing you really need, to be honest with you, is worrying about money.
Oh my
It's the
gosh.
last thing.
Oh,
You need to be present. So don't get me choked up.
oh my goodness. I'm sorry. We're getting in deep here. Okay, wow. Well, that's beautiful. I'm so glad that you were able to do that. And I mean, I hope that you sharing your story can inspire others to be able to do the same for their families. Like that's so beautiful. I love that. So okay, let's move on before we start crying together here. So tell us, Frank, what are some challenges or victories, maybe both, that you've experienced as an insurance agent?
Well, obviously, building that trust right away. I
Mhm.
think what you're doing is God's work. I really do because clients nowadays and prospects, they're individuals. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you have to have some form of building some type of credibility and some type of trust really quick.
Mhm.
And so that has been a very big challenge. Back in the day, I speak because everything we do now is pretty much virtual, so it's
Yeah.
even more important. But back in the day, it would be when you're making that call, you're wanting to visit them, right? And so that's a big challenge too.
Right.
But it also, once you visit someone, you get to know them. You get to, like they say, your eyes are the window to your soul, and you get to see someone face to face, eye to eye. It's a different meeting. When virtual the best thing about virtual and the challenge also, the best is you can do it from anywhere. And the challenge is building that rapport and that trust.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, what you guys have built with Advisors Verified, it just kind of addresses that. It's another layer for you. And that's what I'm excited about.
Mm.
The question you asked, what was the challenge? That's always the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And just to let you guys, the audience that's hearing, whoever's listening to this, and if you're a client, I would say most importantly to meet with that person if you could physically. And then
Mm.
secondly, take a look at their credentials. Actually take a look at the
Yeah.
every state has credentials on an agent. So you can go in there, you can see where they live, you could check everything they've
Right.
studied, and that's
That's
another
true.
added layer. So but
Mhm.
yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing. I don't know if I answered the question, but I think that would be the biggest
Perfect.
thing. That
I
trust.
love that. I mean, I think that's something that we all as agents, like we want to connect with our clients. We want them to know how much we care. And I think, the families that we're helping, they want to be heard. They don't want to feel like we're just trying to like check off a box. Like they want to feel heard. We want our families to feel heard. So when you find the right person and the right connection, I think what you're saying is so beautiful. Like make sure it's the right connection, make sure it's the right fit, and then you're doing the right thing. You're helping put them in a better position, giving them hope. So that was perfect, Frank. I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, so kind of wrapping it up here, what is your vision for your future in life insurance?
Wow, that's a big one.
I know you've
At
got
the
a
end,
you've always had big dreams, and you've already done a lot. You're pretty you've already
thank
done
you.
a lot. So, what is your, maybe share a little bit about what you have built and what you do have, and kind of where would your vision be from there?
I mean, at this point, at my life, I'm 51. It's about legacy. It's leaving back, leaving something for my children, and hopefully in a couple of years, their children.
Yeah.
It's about legacy, but it's also for agents that we help.
Hmm.
It's, giving them the ability to really create their own economy. And I think that is the most important thing. The American dream is still alive. It really is. And there has been more millionaires and successful people being made in the life insurance business specifically than any other industry. And so, but here's the thing, that's ultimately that's a goal, right? How you make that happen is by caring for people.
Oh,
Yes, you're
love
gonna
that.
get paid. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you gotta care for them. And just like you come from you were a teacher. That
Yep.
shows that you care. Most agents that do very well here have either been teachers, pastors, or have led groups. It's an incredible thing. It's not the person that puffs their chest and boasts and says, I'm great. Yeah, that's cool. And we need a diversity of that. But what I'm saying, if you really want to build a business here and and my goal is to create an economy for an individual,
Mm,
that's the biggest gift you can give,
I
and it
love.
starts by caring. You got to care for people.
Boom. That's a mic drop. I feel like that's just a heading we can put somewhere. I love it. That'll be our caption.
I didn't mean it to be a mic drop. I meant it to be as genuine as possible
Well,
that
that I know that's why it's a mic drop because it you're caring for people not only like the genuineness, but then also like, hey, it's caring for that legacy. What else? What better thing can we do for our children than make sure that they're taken care of? I mean, that's so powerful.
absolutely,
That's so powerful.
absolutely.
Well, Frank,
And my dad,
oh yeah,
what the last thing my
no,
dad
go
used to
for it. I want to hear
say,
more.
that's the thing when you hit a certain age and you go through these, I guess um these phases in your life, you look back, when you're a teenager, you think you know everything, and then when you hit young adult, you think you don't need your dad, or your parents.
Hmm.
Then when you start having kids, you know, um, you want them there.
Right.
And then, when you need advice, they're probably gone.
Mm.
And so what we do matters, especially to continue that legacy for our loved ones. And I don't know, like I was thinking about my dad and I was thinking of what he said, and he would tell me, and he'd say, the best thing in this life right now, as I grow older, is that I can always lay my head down and never have a worry in my heart that I didn't do what's right to
Wow.
my fellow man.
Mm.
And there's so much comfort in that. And when you're building a business here and you're working with people that are that lean into that, that you'll be successful here, and that's all I would say to people,
Wow.
if you're out there and you're a client, you're looking to work with someone, make sure they have that in order.
Mm.
You could tell.
Yeah.
That's all I'd say.
Wow. Well, Frank, thank you so much. This was really from the heart. I can tell that this is so meaningful.
Yeah,
And we really just appreciate you. This is why we do the advisor spotlight. We want to be able to spotlight agents that care, spotlight people that really have a passion for this industry and protecting families all over the United States. So we appreciate that so much. This is Betsy and Frank signing off for
thank
Advisor
you.
Spotlight.
God
Thanks.
bless you guys. Thank you.
Hey there. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Advisor Spotlight. Here at Advisor Verified, we love spotlighting agents all across America as they share their passion for why they love doing what they get to do, protecting you and your family. So be sure to go to advisorverified.com and search for an advisor in your state that you connect with and that you know is licensed, insured, verified.